War is often described as a machine, a clash of industrial might, tanks and steel. But every now and then, history gives us a curveball. Imagine it's 1940. The German Blitzkrieg is tearing through France, modern rifles are firing, heavy bombs are falling from the sky, and in the middle of this high-tech nightmare stands a British officer. He's carrying a 6-foot English longbow and a massive Scottish broadsword. His name was Jack Churchill, but the world will come to know him as Mad Jack. This is the story of the only man to bring a sword to a modern war and win. Jack Churchill had a famous saying, "Any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed." He was not joking. Before the war, Jack was a man of many talents. He was a movie actor, and he even represented Great Britain in the World Archery Championship. So when the fighting broke out, he brought his bow with him. In May 1940, Jack's unit was pinned down in a small village in France. The enemy was advancing rapidly. Jack decided to give the signal for the ambush. In the most insane way possible, he climbed silently into a dark hayloft. He drew back his heavy longbow string and aimed at the enemy sergeant. The arrow struck home, killing the target instantly. In an era of machine guns and heavy artillery, Jack Churchill had just recorded the only bow and arrow kill of the entire war. He did it for a reason. He knew that seeing a medieval weapon would absolutely terrify the enemy. Jack was not just an archer, he was an elite commander. Imagine being an enemy sentry on a pitch black night. You hear the waves crashing, and suddenly, out of the darkness, a man leaps forward. He is screaming a terrifying war cry, waving a massive broadsword. At a small town, Jack took his aggression to a level. Along with just one corporal, Jack sneaked ahead of his unit using only his sword. He moved silently from post to post. He simply appeared out of the shadows, sword raised, and demanded surrender. The enemy, thinking they were being attacked by a ghost, dropped their weapons. By sunrise, Jack and his corporal had captured 42 prisoners, all by themselves. He marched them back to the camp, tied together with their own belts. When asked how he did, Jack simply said, "If you tell them loudly and clearly what to do, they will listen." Perhaps the most famous moment of Jack's career happened during a raid in Norway. As the rams of the landing craft dropped and bullets started flying, most men took cover. Not Jack. He stood at the very front of the boat, completely exposed. Playing the bagpipes, he played through the gunfire until the boat hit the sand. Then, he threw a grenade, drew his sword and charged into the smoke. But even Mad Jack had his limits. During a brutal battle on a hilltop, a heavy shell landed right in his position. It killed everyone except Jack. As the enemy closed in, they did not find a man begging for mercy. They found Jack Churchill playing his bagpipes until a grenade knocked him unconscious. The enemy sent him straight to a high-security concentration camp, but you could not cage a man like Jack. Within a few months, he escaped by crawling under a wire fence and tried to walk to the coast. He was recaptured and moved to another camp. He escaped again. As soon as the camp's power failed, Jack slipped out into the night. He walked 150 miles through brutal enemy territory. He survived entirely on stolen food until he found an American armored unit. When the war finally ended in 1945, most men were relieved. Jack Churchill was genuinely disappointed. He looked at the peace treaties and said, "If it was not for those damn Americans, we could have kept this war going for another 10 years. Jack Churchill lived a long life, passing away in 1996. He spent his last years surfing and building model ships. He was a warrior out of time. A man who proved that even in the face of total industrial war, the individual spirit can still make history. Because he refused to let the horror of war change who he was."